Hey guys, hello everyone and welcome. Welcome to the Creators Mastermind Haven. My name is Jeneth Blackert and I am your host. And today I'm joined with Talyn
Fiore.
Fiore. Sorry,
No,
didn't
you're fine.
ask how to pronounce the last name. And this is a wild journey on how I met her. I had first seen an interview. And then I went seeking. And then I realized she had this massive TikTok audience where she does Reiki directly on like the group of people who watch it. And it was freaking wild. And I realized that she's also been a poet with these beautiful poems and a screenwriter. So, I mean, I was just like, wow. And then we've had multiple conversations, and it's just been holy moly, this girl actually is talented, her TikTok name. Today, I want to talk to you about the new earth frequencies, and I want to offer them a energetic type of session towards the end of this call. But first, I know your background, but the audience doesn't. So can you make us a snippet of like, what brought you to this work?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. And I very much was a child that wore a lot of masks. I found out a way to become what people wanted and how to be very performative. So I very much early on went into the acting space because I was able to almost shape shift and become different versions of myself. And I think they all had some authenticity, but there was just so many based on who I was with. So I kind of went into that world. And then I went into the corporate world in college. My dad passed away when I was a freshman in college quite suddenly. And that just increased the performativeness in myself. It was like this secret that I held so deep. No one in college knew me because it was just 2 months in. So I just buried it and became almost like a shell of myself. I had this mask on that I glued to my face. And went into the corporate world, went into a relationship. I had a really toxic relationship after that, which all my relationships previous were really healthy. And when that relationship ended after 4 years, it destroyed me. And a therapist then pointed out it was actually the devastation of my father that I hadn't dealt with, that this breakup just opened the box. So that is really when my journey to spirituality started. I was so lost. I was so depressed. My mom was like, please go to a breathwork class. I'll get you a class at the studio in LA. Like, please do something. She was really scared. And I'm a bit of an extremist. So I just grabbed onto spirituality and I started going to breathwork every week, meditation every day, every book I could get my hands on. And it just became this huge part of my life, but still separate. I still had my acting, talent, partying kind of world. And then I had this whole kind of secret life that I had. And that ran for years, kind of parallel to each other. And I would go back and forth and did ayahuasca. That really helped me embody the spirituality more back in 2019. And then it was really during the pandemic, I got certified in Reiki just to work on myself. I had no plan on working on others and did level 2 because it was available. And I had really specific messages coming in for strangers. And at that point, I was really not thinking I was intuitive or psychic or anything like that. And it would be so specific, like your parents aren't going to get divorced or something that I couldn't have made up. So when I moved back to LA from Laguna Beach after quarantine, I lived in a house. There was this extra room, which you don't usually have just an extra room in LA, and it was filled with junk. And I was like, can I clean it out and make a little Reiki room just to do on the side? I was producing a lot at the time. And I put up a Reiki table and it just took off. I never marketed. It was all word of mouth. All of a sudden I was like producing, and then I was doing all these Reiki sessions. And again, kind of living these two lives. And in May of this year, I got a really specific ping to sell everything and move to Sedona, Arizona. So I did, and I'd never been, I just jumped and I listened. And that was kind of when the two worlds finally became one. Finally, I was no longer living kind of two lives, and I put everything into spirituality after having a pretty successful practice for a year and a half. And then this May, I was like, I'm going to go all in on this because this is the only thing that feels completely aligned. And so now I have a huge virtual business, and I'm writing 3 books, and I'm in Ashland, Oregon. And I just have this beautiful life that I'm kind of obsessed with.
When I tap into speakers, I always kinda, read them.
Mm.
I've done this for many, many years,
Mm.
and when I read certain people, I'm like, "They are gonna be the next big star in
Mm.
this industry," and I really read that about you, and there's this, like, frequency and this vibe, and it's like a little bit of like, I'm so excited, and I'm
Mhm.
so, like, hungry for this change on planet Earth,
Mhm.
and I really get that about you in such a strong way. It's almost unavoidably strong, and I
Wow.
think it's just freaking cool, and one of the things that I know that you really are tapped into is Mother Earth, and
Mhm.
these and this new Earth ascension.
Mhm.
Talk to me a little bit about that for you.
Yeah, so I think that this was something that I didn't quite understand until I moved to Sedona. Being in Sedona was so important for me because people are just so tapped in there. Everyone blesses their food. Everyone's very aware of the moon cycles. Everyone's aware of astrology. So it's just like speaking in a language all the time instead of kind of thinking about it. And so it really expanded me into thinking about these new earth frequencies. And I became very aware of the Schumann resonance when I moved there, and that the actual frequency of the earth is changing in a measurable way, which is really amazing because so much of spirituality can't be measured. It's all experience and perspective. And so it was this huge thing for me. I was really sick in bed. And I remember this is when the Schumann went off. And someone messaged it to me, and I started looking at it, and I just tapped in to it of there's so much new light energy coming into the world that we are actually shifting into this 5D, which people have been talking about in spirituality for so long, that they say that the earth has already shifted completely into 5D. And as humans, we are just catching up with her. And that is why there have been so many what people call ascension symptoms of us trying to recalibrate with her new frequency. People are talking about timelines speeding up, about things are popping in way quicker, manifestations are easier. People that aren't meant to be in your life are resonating out really easily now. There's not that like hook that there used to be. It's like, oh, wait, that friend that I used to do stuff with, they're gone, because people are really shifting into these different realities. And people aren't going anywhere. It's not like there's this new earth and they're going to float over there. We're all living together. It's just that you can feel so deep in your soul what's resonating. And there's just this actual light coming in that is filling our bodies with crystalline energy. And it's raising the frequency of our DNA, what's possible, self-healing. So it's just like the most exciting time to be alive. Like, I just feel so grateful to be here.
I know. Do you sort of feel that you came specifically at this date and this time to help with the ascension?
I do. I didn't before. When I moved to Sedona in May, there was actually a psychic that told me this. And this was kind of before I had jumped into that ocean. I still was holding spirituality kind of close to my heart. I had just recently, I've only been on social media since like May. And so even that was really scary for me to post about. I was so petrified that people were going to make fun of me that knew the party girl in college or knew the theater girl in high school. And I got really strong intuition that you have to push through this fear. That's why it's there. And so I used to tread really lightly with what I posted. It'd be like things that I knew everyone could kind of get on board with. And then in May, when I moved to Sedona, this healer was like, you are going to be at the front of this new earth frequency. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like, still quite timid. And Sedona just ripped off all of my care of what other people thought. I didn't wear makeup. I didn't wear jewelry. I was living at this place where I like had a composting toilet and lived off the land. Like, I had a house, but I would work the fields and I had no mirror. Everything I thought I was stripped away. And I saw how worthy what is actually here is. and I was sick in bed, and I filmed the Schumann resonance video, and it reached like 4.5 million people. And I laid there and I was like, this is the definition of the new earth frequency. And this is my first video that's gone this big. And it was just such validation for me of this is exactly what she was talking about. I think that I've been a skeptic long enough that I can hold the space for both. I can hold the space for the dreamers and the possibility and the believers, but I also can hold the space of like science and fact and reason, and just kind of bridge the two is really my goal. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so funny that you say that, because I feel like that is the shift for so many people. Was there any turning point that got you out of that fraud? Like I've got
Yeah.
like that judgment of others, like I've got to, you know, I
I
know, like, because you'll come on and be like, hey, you guys, if you're listening to this, I'm gonna do some Reiki on you. And they are good.
Yeah.
It is
Thank
like,
you.
oh my gosh, she's speaking directly to me.
Mm.
And it's literally that you're tapping in and doing things that people could really, really judge you for.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that so much of it was my clients, my early clients. Working with them, I saw myself through their eyes. And the thing with my Reiki is that I didn't even know really what I was doing in the beginning. So I would just show up and kind of be like, "Okay, spirit, use me." And I would do these sessions, and I would get so out of the way. And then the clients would have such impactful experiences that I was like, whoa, when I just show up without over preparing, without trying to figure out what they need or what's wrong, without trying to use my mind, if I just show up with an open heart, they are so impacted. And it was such a gift to see myself through their eyes. I think it was really the first time that I felt seen and understood for who I really am. And it was such a gift. And I think doing social media for me was so necessary on this path, because I realized it was the less curated videos that people would respond to. It was when I showed up in bed versus when when I first started, I had like my little setup and my ring light and like everything going. And it's like people just want to connect with real people. And so the more authentic I was, the realer I was, the more people connected to me. And I was like, wow, what a gift to get like real time proof that this is what actually works.
Yeah, it seems that you're just like, okay, I'm a clear channel, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And so for all the healers that are looking to grow practices and want to do that, I think that is the key.
Mm-hmm.
Just, fuck it, let's try it.
Yeah, let's try it. And also
Right?
let the universe like show you. I didn't really want a virtual business, but when I went to Sedona, that was a natural shift and it really picked up. And then I have like a client in Ireland that was like, I want to learn from you. So I have been mentoring him for weeks and I'm teaching him. So the universe just kind of shows me what to do next. And it's so beautiful. Like since I've been in Ashland and been authentic, my virtual business has tripled. And it's not by anything I've done. If anything, I just focus more and more on being in alignment and being authentic every single time I turn my phone on to record something. That's like all I got to do.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I mean, how does it make it any easier or any better than that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the message is definitely resonating, and I think that it is so good for everyone to hear this at this time, because I think you're exactly right. That 5D, it's meshing with our 3D, and it's a very uncomfortable time for some. And
Mm-hmm.
some of us that have done years and years of work, we're like, woohoo, I'm free.
Yeah.
It seems like in 2012 when I was talking about new earth frequencies, it was like, okay, are we like actually going to go to another place? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was just like really, really an uncomfortable time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So with people that are kind of dealing with this like discomfort, this angst, where would you take, like, how would you work with them to help them with this ascension, this
Yeah.
awakening?
Yeah, I think there's so many different parts. I think that the biggest thing people can do is get outside. The easiest, just simple thing. I know it's just like, oh, well, duh, but people aren't doing it. Like the earth is attuned, it's now attuned to this higher frequency. So just put your feet in the earth. Like I have this grounding necklace I always wear because it's attuned to the earth, the Schumann resonance, because it's just like, even when I'm not able to get outside, I need to be grounding. So it's eating full, real food, drinking high water content that's not just the tap water, putting minerals in the water. It's getting your feet outside. It's also community. I think one of the biggest things I noticed on TikTok is people just saying, hey, I'm so alone. Can you talk to me? And there's just this like deep desire for community. And so I'm actually working on a project right now that'll hopefully be out in a month or two of trying to bring people together from all over the world, because it's not always going to be your immediate circle. And I think that the quicker that people can let what doesn't resonate fall away, they will realize they make space for what does resonate to come in. But you have to release the old for the new to come in. And the more you raise your frequency, every single person I bump into is spiritual. Whether I'm talking to them in the grocery store, I'm looking for a more permanent home in Ashland. I called this girl yesterday. The house doesn't align at all, but me and her hit it off, and we're going to grab a tea next week, because the higher your frequency goes, people just come to you like it's a magnet. Just like clients come, the right houses come, the friends come. So get yourself surrounded by people who make you feel seen, safe, and understand the language that you speak. Because in Sedona, I was like, oh my gosh, this is real connection. I didn't even realize that I could be this open constantly. And now it's just like shattered the veil for me. Like, I'm just like, well, this is how I show up. And if you don't like it, then you're not for me. And that's beautiful. And both are okay, but just allowing people to leave. Wait, you're...
So you typed in Sedona, magical.
Yeah. Oh, I love Sedona.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can't avoid the nature.
Cannot. Yeah.
Yeah. I would like you to do an activation, and then I would like to talk and take this deeper.
Okay.
But I feel that, one of the things that I'm doing this for is so that I can create a large community that actually wants to play in these frequencies and do it live too at some point. I'm hoping to have some big live events. And I do think that that is a big, big component of it. And I mean, you just beautifully laid out all these things. Most people lay out meditation and breath work, and you just laid out everything different. And I feel more that what you're saying is true, and it all works.
Yeah.
Whatever you're called to. So I'd like for you can we do like a collective type Reiki that opens up our energies to be more, free of that judgment we talked about earlier, free of that fraud. And with that, really be like this clear frequency for this upgrade that is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Kind of like take off the veils and open the doors.
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead and close your eyes and say, I receive, I receive, I receive, if you want to allow the Reiki to flow in. Take a deep breath in through your nose, out through the mouth, large exhale, in through the nose, out through the mouth, exhale. One more, as deep as you can go. Out through the mouth, and just kind of wiggle into your body. Feel your body right now, exactly where you are in this moment. Allow the thoughts to fade away. And you might feel tingles or a change of temperature. You're definitely pulling at the Reiki, so the desire is there. And focus your energy on the center of your chest, right at that heart space. Because everything, the veils, the connection, everything begins with love. And feel a green emerald right at the center of your chest. Just a small little emerald, as small as a seed. And breathe into that emerald. Breathe. Feel its heartbeat as it grows to the size of a quarter. This beautiful gem, imagining that bright green color, expanding it out further now to the size of a baseball. And breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. I want to also get the breath activated in this to turn on the cells. So feel the thumping of this emerald heart. Breathe into it as it gets bigger now, the size of your entire body. Take a deep breath in and out. And as you feel this, what do you think of with the word green? Is it grass that you can roll around in? Is it a green bird that you see flying in the sky? Is it green crayons you played with as a child? Feel this joy begin to creep in, and maybe you feel a smile on your lips. As we're activating this heart energy, I want you to take a deep breath in and hold it, pulling it from the root to the top of your head. 1, 2, 3, breathe in. Hold it at the top of your head and squeeze your root. Now hold it as you're imagining that green breath and imagining all the joy that you want to bring into this world. Breathe one more sip of air in and push it all out. Now push it all out, all out, and do that again. Pull it all the way from the root to the top. Hold at the top of your crown. Hold that breath, thinking of love, of light, of this new frequency that you want to pull in right now. Breathe one more sip of air in and breathe it all out. Now feel how your cells are beginning to wake up. We're going to do one more, and I want you to take in more air, and we're going to hold it for longer. So go ahead and pull that air up from the root all the way to the crown and hold it. Hold it, hold it, and think of what you want to attract in this moment. Imagine yourself being encased by green energy. One more sip of air and blow it out in a loud exhale. Now place your hands on your heart. Imagine my hands over your hands. My Reiki flowing straight into your hands as you heal yourself. Breathing into this big, beautiful heart, this aura of green that we've created, and take a deep breath in, and this time push it out through your heart as big as the room you're in. Breathe in and out, pushing that green throughout your entire room. Good job. Feel the tenderness in your heart that wants to come to the surface. Saying out loud, I am ready to put down the mask. Saying, I am ready to show up authentically. Say, I am ready to receive the new frequencies. Say, I am ready for my highest timeline to find me now. Connecting to your highest self, your guides, your allies in this moment. Pulling in all of these new frequencies. We focus on the color of the green, like the color of nature, because she is who we are attuning to. We accept all of these new frequencies with a willing and open heart. And begin to feel the cells feeling different, tingling, active, awake. And say to yourself or in your head, I believe in myself. Say, I believe in my purpose. Say, I believe in my passion, for it will lead the way. I am shifting and I am ready. Taking one final deep breath in and releasing through the mouth. Setting the intention that everything integrate that we pulled in this activation. And so it is, and so it will be.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, one of the things that came up during that was you have a willingness to receive and be received, which is a very similar vibration and frequency. Have you always been that way? Or has that changed as you have entered this world of personal growth development?
I was always able to be received. And I think that was something that defined my worth, was how people received me. If they liked me enough, if I was good enough. I had a hard time receiving myself, I loved compliments, but I had hard time receiving help. I was I can do it. I'll figure it out myself. Very independent in doing everything on my own to kind of show people that I could do it better and had more capability than others. Like exceptional wasn't enough. I had to be one of a kind in my head.
Right. So you had to prove your worth a little bit.
Always.
Like everyone kind of has to do that, don't they?
Yeah. Producing.
Like you don't feel that you're still in that though. I don't feel that you are at all. But usually I will sense that among most people.
Yeah. And I think so much of it was giving up this dream that I had in LA to be like, I really wanted to be this big actress. And that's why I got into screenwriting, was to write these things to be in. And I think once I realized how much of that was shrouded in the ego, that once I was able to just let that dream go and say, it is so beautiful. I will always love acting and theater, but just saying, I want to show up as me. I don't want to show up with more masks. When you're acting, you're putting on another mask. So then if someone receives you, they're receiving the mask, the lie, the character. And I was like, I just want to show up and help. I think my clients shifted my whole world of, it's not about me. It is not about me. It is about the person on the other end. And if I can just show up and help them, I was in so much pain emotionally my whole life. All I wanted was for someone to reach out to me and say, you're loved. You're important. It's going to be okay. And I just want to be that for others. To be seen and to be heard and to be held is the most beautiful gift you can give anyone. And so now my whole purpose is just others. So it makes it so much easier. I don't have any criteria for myself because it's not about me. It's how can I best serve you?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, Joe Dispenza says, he's like, everything I've done is because people have asked me for it. If they want another level of class, I'll see if I can work it out. And they asked for it. And so I create it. It's not like that at the very, very beginning. Like when you started this, I'm sure that there was some uncertainty and there was some doubt. And, tell us about going through that river of change.
Yeah. I mean, luckily when I first started Reiki, I just put up a table and kind of just asked my friends like, hey, can I come work on you? Maybe in exchange for a review, just for free, just to see. So it was people I felt really safe with. It was people that I also knew wouldn't lie to me, that wouldn't be like, hey, like I didn't, quite feel it. And so I think the trust was important. It was people that I already felt seen by. And then they just had really good responses to it, which built my own trust muscle with my gift and how spirit uses me. And then social media, honestly, was terrifying. I was petrified, but I promised myself that I would do it consistently for 30 days. I would post every day on TikTok. And I think I went viral within 2 weeks. And so for me, that was such a big message from spirit of, this is what you're meant to do. Here is your reassurance. And so I remember my brother, who's older than me, he was like, do you know how rare it is to have, I think it hit like 500,000 views. He's like, do you know how rare it is to have 99% of the comments be positive? Usually when something goes viral, people start, fighting on there and ripping the person apart. He was like, I've never seen something like this, just where it's like love, 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 love. And that really moved me, because I was like, what if I can also help people use social media in a way to unify instead of to divide? And I've been really lucky that I have an incredible, positive, heart open community. But I think it's literally, it's everyone else that's made it possible. I think my whole life it was like me against the world. That's it. I'm alone. I have to work harder, play harder, do everything harder. And where I am right now is because of everyone else. It's because of my beautiful friends that supported me in the beginning. It's because of their word of mouth that spread my LA practice. It's because of my followers that, say, I have a whole folder in my phone that I screenshot really beautiful messages, and it says, the folder is called I Am Meant for This. So anytime I have a little bit of a moment, I'm human, I go there and I read these people's comments and videos, and it's about them. It's only how they see me that allows me to see myself as who I really am. So I'm just so grateful for this thing that I used to hate. I wrote a whole television show about how much I hated social media. And now I've realized it's just a tool. It's how you use it, like everything else. And now the thing that I used to despise has become the thing that set me free. So I am just so grateful.
I'm so grateful because now I think I'm gonna put myself on a 30-day challenge as soon as these
Yay!
go out, because I'm like, you know what? I also have been like, bleh, social, but most of it is because it's awkward with me posting, and, I hadn't really, it's I'm like a brander, a copywriter, a hypnotist, right?
Right.
And I can do these like really deep, deep meditations so people can awaken their vision.
Mhm.
But they're deep, I feel like you've got to go deep. But
Mhm.
watching you, it's like you can go deep like that.
Yeah. And I think
I'm
it's
like,
just,
maybe I'm wrong.
yeah,
It's
just
like me
try.
going, holy, you're wrong, Jenna. You're so wrong. And you're just the perfect person for this, because this summit was really, yes, I've gone super woo, like Navy SEAL woo, right? Like the
Yeah.
wooish you can go. And I thought, I need bridgers, the people that do both, that get building a brand. Although your brand seems like it's just been an attractor brand, which is how it should be. And it
Mhm.
should all be fun in the creation of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
I
so much
think,
of it's like the fun aesthetic and doing it. And I think that's why I'm switching more to working with, like, I do coaching with people for several weeks. I used to do like a lot of one-off sessions. And I think that I love now working with people more consistently, because it takes consistency and it takes putting in the effort and the work to see real change. But then I can kind of figure out where they are on their level of woo. Are we just doing meditations and spiritual counseling? I'm here for it. Do you want to go all the way in the deep end with me and have me do light language activations with you and some really deep, deep work? We can also do that. And so it's kind of the beautiful about the, like, not one size fits all, is that I have consultations. I'm like, what do you want? Where are you? And I will show up as that channel for exactly what you need. So it's interesting. All the shape shifting in my earlier years still exists in me, but instead of like my mind choosing, I just let spirit, I just say, use me. And so then I'm able to be what that person needs, because everyone is on a different level of what they believe and what they're comfortable with.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. My friend is commenting here. She just said, it's also challenging when your privacy has been hacked. Uh, so she had an instance where her whole social was hacked.
Oh,
Um, and I think that came up because I feel like it's really important for us to say that that real estate is like rented real estate. That
mm,
you've got to bring those people over to your website, your land these days
mhm.
too.
Yeah.
but it's still about showing up and
Mhm.
being able to do it without, so, you can still
Yeah.
move forward, right?
Right. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like I want to ask you like 100 other things. I'm just trying to decide which way we want to go with
Yeah,
this.
which way?
Yeah. I really feel that you have awakened this creative power within. And, and although it seems like you needed first validation, you knew like you knew, like you knew in the knower inside of you.
Mhm.
Um, would you say it was breath work and Reiki that really got you to know that knower?
Breath work was the thing that allowed me to finally express all the pain.
Hmm.
All the pain of my dad, before my dad, all of the things. Breath work was I used to have I couldn't cry at all in front of anyone, even a partner. I
Hmm.
would get choked here. So breath work allowed me to finally break that open and to be
Mhm.
like, the issues are in the tissues. You have to express everything or it just lives in you. So I did breath work every single week for a year and bawled every time. And then the year mark was the first time I didn't cry and I felt this magnificent euphoria. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what has been under all that pain. But if I had stopped, I wouldn't have gotten to it because I had so much pain I had to go through. So that for me really finally connected me with my emotions because I was always a very emotional, sensitive person, but I hid it so deeply because I was like, no one wants to see that. I want to be the cool girl, like the chill girl. And so that allowed me to finally express and connect with that. And then really honestly, I released a poetry book in 2021 and I did it because I had been journaling during quarantine and this psychic was like, you're writing this book. And I was like, I don't write books. At the time I'd only done screenwriting. She's like, I'm telling you, there's this book. And so one day I dropped my journal and it said Book of Poems by TF in the front. And I was like, this is the book I've been writing. And I just typed them up. I took the photography, I self-published, I published it. And the day that I got my first order, I had a full panic attack because I was like, what am I doing? No one is supposed to read these. Everyone's going to think I'm so emotional and so ridiculous. And I think sometimes spirit does with me, spirit will give me almost like a goal that I'll go for so that I don't get scared and in my own way. Because if I had ever set out to do a poetry book, I probably wouldn't have done it. And the poems would have been much different if I was writing them for someone. But spirit just has this way of just giving me an idea and then I give it everything. And then after it's already live, I'm kind of like, whoa, is my ego ready for that? And then it's just helped me break down moment by moment because that book, so many men reached out to me, which I thought my audience was women. So many men reached out to me of just this book made me feel something. This really has shifted me. I have people that message me that they use it as an oracle deck next to their bed and they'll flip to a random poem. So it's just all of these things on the way have just broken this armor. And then social media was the next one. But really just connection, going inward, inward. That's the biggest thing to do is just to connect with yourself and your highest self, because that is where the actual guidance comes from. So connection is everything to me, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. God, we could talk for 3 hours
I
here.
know.
The big piece of that is you continue to follow the dots and you continue to take massive action or quick action.
Mhm.
I've always said money likes speed.
I like that.
Money, it doesn't necessarily even need a ton of action. It just needs speed.
Mhm. And
And it
decisiveness
reminds
too.
me when I was in my 20s,
Mhm.
I was playing around with energies and frequencies, and I had made these little tinctures out of these different aromatherapy drops. Well, I mean, I was like a witchy making potions in my 20s, right?
Wow. Uh-huh.
And I had a client that was into it. She did massage therapy and she loved different combinations. So I made her a book of like 35 of these little tincture remedies, and I like put it in a binder, made it like a spiral bound thing, a little booklet. And I sold one to her for like $18 or something crazy
Right.
like that. And she calls me up and she's like, could I buy 20 of those? I'll buy them at retail, all $18. And she got a stack of them and she put them in her office, and they like sold out in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then so she was like, can we get more? Right.
Yeah.
And then I had, from that batch, I had someone else say, can you do a custom tincture for a client that specifically has a nasal problem? And I thought, man, I am like out on a journey here or something to create these like potions or tinctures. And, and then, time went on and I started getting interested in something else. But I was always one of those that was like, yes, I'm good. I'm going to make it and I'm going to create it and I'm going to own it. And, and I guess, and now it's it's different things, but I'm always been one that's like create. And in fact, when I'm not, it's boring.
Totally. And I think that people get those pings all the time, but not everyone is like us where they just take it as literal. Oh, this is the new path. And I think that's the biggest thing is I'm trying to get people to just like connect with themselves so they can hear the guidance, because the guidance is everything. And now that I am out of the driver's seat, my life is so much easier. I'm like, literally, I'll just, before bed, I'll be like, okay, I need an answer to this. And I will dream the answer. It's just listening, following action, listening, following with action. Just like, and like you said, sometimes it's just for a moment. I think that we're also told we have to have this one path and do that. I do all sorts of stuff. I'm writing 3 books. I have an app I'm building. I have a clientele base, because they're all pieces of me, but I enjoy it for that moment. Like I did interior design for years. It filled me up. And it's just, it's okay to like allow it to be, and then to set it down when something else comes in. Just follow the passion. It's okay. I think people feel guilty. Like, well, I did all this work. Like, how could I just walk away? And it's like, well, if something is lighting you up more, listen to that. It's okay to have more than one interest.
Right. Totally right. I mean, and I feel like, branding fits just perfectly with woo. And I don't even know that I even want to use the word woo anymore, but that's the only way that, for some of, especially the Texans here, that the Republican side of Texas is very, so I still use it, sometimes.
Differentiate. Yeah.
But I actually feel like we are this. I mean, when I was making those tinctures, it wasn't because consciousness guided me. It wasn't like I heard an inner voice booming that said, go do this. It was just like, I just followed the energy and it just worked out. And I think that that's the difference, this universe speaks through other people.
Exactly.
It's not like it has to come through intuitive stuff. It's funny when I have been doing this, intuitive work lately, and it's growing because I've been practicing it. And that voice is very different than the voice that's specifically is like, create it and they will come.
It is so true. I think a lot of people are waiting to hear like some voice in their head say, booming, you should do this, and this is
go to Sedona. Go to Sedona now.
So I'm like, that was an actual voice I heard in my head. But the next day I was sitting in guidance and I was like, am I just going for a month or am I moving there? And I got evicted the next day. So that's how spirit uses circumstance. And I didn't do anything wrong to get an eviction. It was my roommate. It was a whole family thing, her family on the house. But it's just like, spirit just as much, actually more frequently, speaks through others, speaks through circumstance and opportunity. So it's more about getting in alignment with what you want. And then, because it's really hard for a lot of people to hear the clarity of the voice. But it's someone like for you saying, I would love, some of these tinctures. For me, it was like, I would love for you to teach me everything you know. And it's like, okay. and just following those, because if you're responding to something, it's much different than reaching for something that you've decided, this is the thing I'm going to reach.
Yeah.
If something knocks and you're like, come on in, I'll make a pot of tea. That's way different.
Oh my gosh, I really want to ask you this question now. So I recently had a client that says, Jeneth, you're all about like changing your internal landscape and your frequency that you're broadcasting to pull what you desire to you.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, where does the universe, I know how I answer this, but I want to hear how you do answer it. She's like, but I thought I was just guided by the universe. Like, I'm not here to craft and make myself different and broadcast what I want to pull to me. I want the universe to guide me. Mm-hmm. How would you respond to that question?
So this is interesting. My mom and I have had this discussion before of what intuition is. Or what manifesting is. Manifesting what most people think it is. I, Talyn, have decided that I want X and I pull X to me, right? Mm-hmm. My mom offered this really beautiful perspective of what if X is already yours, and what manifestation is you're just being signaled by X that is the way. So me as Talyn, I'm now getting a signal of like, all of a sudden I want this. And I'm not talking about an ex-boyfriend. I'm just saying whatever the thing is, I'm getting a signal from this thing. And all of a sudden I'm like, I really want that. So it's like, which is first? It's like a chicken or the egg. Is it pulling me to it, or am I pulling it to me? And so I think it goes down to like how you want to see things. Do you want to see that you have this free will, or do you want to see things as you have this beautiful path laid before you that you will get to no matter what? If you're listening to, like, it's sending you the frequency of like, I'm over here. Are you going to listen and go over there? Or are you going to say, I don't want to, and then go this way, that's where the discomfort, the disease all comes from, when you're going away from that thing that's calling you. So that's why it's called a calling, a purpose. It's calling to you. You hear the whispers and the passion and the desire. You just need to direct your body to it and go towards it. So I don't know if that really answers the question.
No, well, it's funny because it's similar, but I also have this other playful theory on top of that, is that what if I'm from the future and have come back at this time to help planet Earth, and I knew what I was here to create. So I'd put these signposts out to guide my way. And those signposts are the desires that I already have seated in my heart. And it was set up right from the get-go. But the speed at which I get these things are, it depends on my personal work.
Yeah, I love that. Because like, what is desire? I think it's telling you something. Your theory is really similar to my theory about deja vu. Because I think the same thing. I believe that before we come here, we have set up this path, and that there are markers along the way to show us that we're on the path, essentially. And that's what deja vu is as a soul, I look at this path, I'm like, there's a million ways to get to each marker. That's where the free will comes in, right? But once you hit a marker, that's what that feeling of deja vu is, in my opinion, is those things meshing of your remembrance from before and then experiencing. It's like you're hitting that marker of, oh, I'm on the path, because they have no good explanation for what deja vu is. And that is something that came through for me. And so I've had so much deja vu since I've been in Ashland. And I'm like, whew, I am on the path. Like, it just feels so important.
Yeah. Yeah. It also kind of, deja vu is like glitching in the matrix, right? It's like, okay, well, of course you'd glitch. If you would have an experience at a different timeline, you will have a glitch. So I always thought that was kind of deja vu too.
Yeah, I love deja vu.
Oh, it's so cool when it happens.
Like, something is happening.
Didn't I just already have that?
Yeah, like, didn't I already do this? Didn't we already have this conversation? It's because in some way you already have, I've had a lot of deja vu with reading since I've been here. Every book I read, I know the ending. Every show I watch, I feel like I've already watched it. And I was asking one of my mentors, I was like, what is going on? And they were like, you're dialing in so much to the super conscious that you're actually connecting to the person that wrote it or shot it or did the project. So that's why you're getting deja vu with everything, is because you're so connected to everything and all. And I was just like, whoa, that's a different thought of deja vu that I've never thought of.
Been really happy to watch One Piece on Netflix because it like is always shocking to me.
I don't know what that is.
You should watch it because
Okay.
it's about pirates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would be something I would never ever watch, but it got so much, you know, audience. I was like, all right, I'll give it a try, and I love it because it's just you know, it's first got 8 episodes, and it's just like, what's
Right.
going on here? You know, and I
Yeah.
love things that are so non-linear.
The OA is like one of my favorite shows on Netflix. When it, have you seen the
Oh
OA?
yeah. Oh, years ago.
When it got canceled, it just broke my heart.
Uh-huh. Gosh, yeah, no, I was into that too. It was cool. It was a little spooky in places. I was like,
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
little
it got a
dark
little
on me.
spookier.
Yeah, totally. Well, I know you put a special offer together for us. Do you want to
Yes.
go ahead and tell us about it? And this, you guys, is only for us for now. And Talyn just made it specifically for this series. So I want to make sure you know that and you check it out. The link will be below if you want to check it out while she's walking you through what's inside.
Yes. So I wanted to put together something to help with connection. I think going into the winter months, a lot of people are really craving connection. And whether it's from romantic partner or whether it's from family that maybe they don't have a great relationship with, people just really want to be seen and heard and connect. I sat with what to do it on, and that's really what came through. So in this Connect series, the first video is going to be a meditation to really help you connect with your inner self, source, and the earth, to bring you back into that alignment that you feel complete and fulfilled completely from the inside out. And then the second video is going to be a Reiki session. So I have done tons of testing with Reiki. It's not defined by time or space. So when I sat with it, I connected with every single person that will be watching the video. And I felt more Reiki being pulled out of me than ever before. So it definitely is very supercharged with Reiki, as well as balancing the chakras and an oracle card, again, to help remind you what balance and harmony feels like, to help remind your subconscious so it's easier and easier to attain that. And then the third video is breath work. So breath work is called breath work for a reason. It is something that it's more output than input. I am channeling Reiki the whole time. There are songs that were specifically chosen to do this 3-part breath to. There are breath retentions, there's screaming, there's crying. So it's really meant to pull out those deep wounds of needing to be validated, needing to be seen, so that you can just show up who you are and connect to yourself and others. So it's meant to do in that order. You can play them as many times as you want. You can do the meditation every day. Really, it's just for you to receive the connection your highest self wants to connect with you. So it's just to deepen that connection so things can be easier, so you can hear the guidance and the signs and the symbols.
And this is audio or video or both? Or?
Yeah, so they're all 3 videos. And for all 3 of them, it's typically $165 for the complete set. And so for you guys specifically, if you put in the promo code CONNECT3, it'll be $97 for all 3.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me come to, there's a code, there's Easter eggs throughout this event. This code, the Easter egg code word is IN. And if you get the word and unscramble it, there's 10 throughout this series. And if you get it, then you get like my big charter package, Sexy Money, and you get Clear the Noise. And we've got 3 other little goodies from speakers that will have gifts for you. So that is coming your way if you collect everything throughout this series. Thank you guys so much for participating. So I want to remind you that you can become a VIP. You can get the transcripts, the audio downloads, and the videos of all this entire series so that you can listen on the plane or meditate at night through your phone or what have you. So if you'd like to become a VIP, it's VIP for life with the Creators Mastermind Haven. It's almost, I'm hoping to do this for many, many years to come. I'm hoping to have a live event. I hope that even the VIPs will have something special at the live event. So lots of gifts coming your way. And it's just $97 during this live event. It will go up after. So there is that. Thanks, Talyn. Thanks so much for being a part of this community, a part of this show. You guys, all the links are below. So below the video, you'll see these 2 links, one for the special offer, which is for Talyn, and you'll also see the VIP on this page as well. I hope you join us and really become part of our community as well.
Thank you so much. This was so lovely.
Thank you.